It's killing me. I must confess, I still believe when I'm not with you, I lose my mind. Give me a sign. Hit me, baby, one more time.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're taking a look at which handheld device is best for you. It's the Steam Deck versus the Nintendo Switch.
You know, I've never responded to a WatchMojo video before. And they've put out some absolute stink bombs in the past, so I'm kind of surprised it took me this long. I mean, at least they have a sense of humor about it, but when you acknowledge the problem, you're supposed to stop doing it after that. But when you're just pumping out list videos with no regard for actual legitimacy, why not keep digging your own grave? Today's video is called Steam Deck versus Nintendo Switch, which almost gave me a heart attack because it doesn't have a top 10 in the title. In fact, it's not a list video at all. WatchMojo was just really inspired to make a video discussing these two handhelds. And with almost 25 million subscribers, you'd probably expect a bit of integrity, or at least a little bit of research, but instead you'll get a beautiful ratio, and another example of a big faceless YouTube channel licking Nintendo's feet, presumably to get some kind of insider access to their shit in the future.
Open for business.
Round 1. Hardware.
And then we have
cables, of course.
all the things.
Right.
Cables.
When it comes to specs, Nintendo has been known to run their games on less powerful hardware.
Wasn't always that way. The GameCube was actually very impressive for its time. It kept up with the PS2 and original Xbox rather well. By some measures, it was actually the most powerful console of that generation. The N64 was also pretty powerful by 90s console standards, and heck, even the Wii U had some decent performance. It really wasn't until relatively recently that Nintendo just kind of said fuck it and stopped even trying with their hardware. And yeah, I know the Switch wasn't built for insane graphics or hardware potential, but that doesn't mean it couldn't have been better. Getting above 30 FPS really shouldn't be such a massive demand in the current year.
At least when compared to other plastic boxes from Sony and Microsoft. Compared to Valve's Steam Deck, it's the same old song and dance even with the more recent OLED model. However, that doesn't take away from the system's performance and visual fidelity.
Well, that was a weird 180. You criticized Nintendo's hardware, you said the Switch deck had better hardware, and then you immediately started defending the Switch's performance instead of elaborating on the criticism. I wonder if that's going to be a running theme in this video.
Many of the Switch's games look and run just as great as they play, at least the first-party stuff does.
They run as great as they play. That's like if I got a new car and told you, yeah, it's as fast as it is quick.
Your mileage may vary when it comes to third-party titles.
What is it with WatchMojo and just dog shit editing? He said third-party titles, and then they started showing Mario Kart. But also, what's the point of this section? You started out by saying the Steam Deck has better hardware than the Switch, but then you've just been going on and on about how the Switch is actually super awesome. Like, you're yet to elaborate on your own thesis statement. Can you guys hear that in the background? My cat found an empty cardboard box and is being a cat.
But aside from having a beefier CPU, GPU, and RAM, what does Steam Deck do that Nintendo don't?
Aside from doing everything better than the Switch, what does the Steam Deck actually do? It is an absolute miracle you got this video over 8 minutes.
Well, it's basically a PC in the palm of your hand, and one of the benefits of PC gaming is that just about every game comes with some handy-dandy settings.
I long for the day when game settings aren't treated as some gracious special feature. Like really, what is the holdup with console games getting actual graphical settings?
Adjust resolutions, frame rates, visual effects, and more to your heart's content, shaping the games in the way you want to experience them. This aspect of gaming has only just recently come to consoles with the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S.
And they're nowhere near that level of detail. You really think you can adjust your resolution, frame rate, or fidelity to your heart's content on the PS5 or Xbox? No, you have a handful of preset graphical settings, and if you don't like them, then that sucks. Steam Deck's graphical options may be limited compared to a full-fledged PC, but they're still way better than any of the consoles right now.
As for the Switch, the games look and run in the way Nintendo intended them to be, and you just have to live with that.
Wait, what about the third-party games? Are you suggesting Nintendo is demanding that third-party devs make their games run a certain way? Because that doesn't sound very awesome to me. Also, nice attempt at framing a lack of options as some kind of artistic decision. Hey, this DVD you sold me doesn't come with scene selection or captions. Oh no, it was the director's artistic vision to make it harder for you to appreciate it. He's a real forward thinker. You know, if you stop gobbling up everything Nintendo releases without question, maybe they'll try a little harder in the future.
No contest here. We'll take flexible settings on any given day.
Wait, did you just indirectly criticize Nintendo?
Social credit deducted.
Winner, Steam Deck.
Steam Deck is a full-featured gaming PC that lets you bring the games you love wherever you go.
Round 2, online functionality.
I really hate the thing WatchMojo does where they cut the audio out of their own video and let you hear the audio of an entirely different video. Like, hearing two completely different videos one after another just gets jarring.
Hey, wait a minute.
Round 2, online functionality.
If you even try to spin this one in Nintendo's favor, I'll eat my entire house. Nintendo has hilariously bad online functionality. This is common knowledge.
Now you're probably looking at the Switch and thinking, Nintendo and online functionality? Only in your dreams, WatchMojo. Yes, we are very well aware of Nintendo's tumultuous history with online games and connectivity. To their credit, things have improved with the Switch, though they aren't much better.
You're doing that thing where you preface one side of the argument really, really heavily before even getting into the actual argument. It's almost like you know you're about to spout some bullshit.
So, if you're looking to play online games on a handheld with reliable connectivity, the Steam Deck might be better for you. But that is not the only online feature to consider here.
Steam Deck has better online functionality, but that's not the only thing you should consider regarding online functionality. Oh. Okay then.
You need to consider downloading games, and this is where the Switch prevails over the Steam Deck.
Fucking how?
You are going to need an online connection in order to sync your Steam account with your deck, in addition to installing games to your deck.
Whoa, I need an online connection to connect to online services? That's crazy. Thank God the Switch doesn't require that. Wait.
It is an all-digital device, just as PC gaming has been as a whole for the last decade or so.
PC gaming is not all digital. Please stop it.
With a Switch, yes, you still need an online connection to purchase and download digital-only games.
So, it's the exact same.
But if you're someone with a spotty ISP, you still have an alternative to play games without eating up data. Many Switch games are physically released by both Nintendo and publishers big and small. So, if you have a cartridge, you can play it the second you pop it into the console. In our eyes, physical games will always prevail due to their easy accessibility. Winner, Nintendo Switch.
Let me get this straight. This section of the video was about online functionality, and you say the Steam Deck has better online functionality, but because the Switch has cartridges available for some of its games, it got the point.
This doesn't make any sense! Alright, well then, just say whatever you want.
For what it's worth, the availability of physical games on the Switch is a nice little plus, but the fact you're reaching this hard to shield the Switch from any actual criticism is just embarrassing. Like, how deep in Nintendo's pocket are you guys?
Round 3, pricing.
We know players will use their decks in different ways, in different places, attached to different devices.
When shopping for new tech, it's important to not only compare prices between similar products, but also consider what you're getting for said price.
It's also important to consider how much you're paying for the games on said platform. Switch games are hilariously overpriced, while the Steam Deck gives you access to all those legendary Steam sales you've heard of. And the legends are true, games really are cheap over here. No more paying full price for 8-year-old games. Like, seriously, how does anybody defend this?
The Nintendo Switch OLED will run you $349 USD, only a $50 increase to the cost of a standard Switch. What you get is a slightly bigger screen than the other Switch models, a 64GB internal storage, a wider and adjustable stand to prop the console up, a LAN port, which other Switches don't have for some reason, improved audio capabilities, and of course, a beautiful and lush OLED screen.
All that and not a single word about game performance. Remember earlier in the video when they had that really stupid line about how games look as good as they play, or whatever the fuck they said? Kinda weird how now that you're talking about the actual specs and the actual stuff you're paying for, you haven't said a word about what's actually in the machine. Also, did you seriously just give Nintendo a pat on the back for including a stand?
The Steam Deck, on the other hand, is on a whole other level because, well, like we said earlier, it's a PC in the palm of your hand.
Oh no, WatchMojo's about to make me eat my words. Hopefully they don't completely fly off track back into Nintendo's pants again.
Not only can you play certain Steam games on it, you can do just about anything you would normally do on a computer. Browse the web, check your email, watch movies from streaming services, go down a WatchMojo rabbit hole at 3 a.m., the whole 9 yards.
Haha, it's funny because they're self-aware and that excuses their garbage content. Haha, funny lol.
The only question is, how powerful do you want it to be? If you want the most basic and cheapest option, it's going to run you about $400. But if you want faster storage and a durable screen, you're looking at $649 USD.
Because there is nothing between those two options. Nothing. You either pay $400 for a Steam Deck or $650 for a Steam Deck. Yes, that's absolutely how this works. Absolutely. Who fucking wrote this?
Hey, we'll bite the bullet for a smaller PC, especially given how much power you get in such a diminutive device. Winner, Steam Deck.
Like, yeah, hooray, we got a point, but like, did we really? Like, did you really win if the ref wasn't even paying attention?
Round 4, games.
Oh, look, I got one.
Now, this is where folks need to question how much they value what they have now versus what they could be getting in the future.
What?
Emphasis on could. The Steam Deck is a powerful handheld, yes, but what makes some still a little squeamish about grabbing one is the Steam Deck Verified badge.
Is that really a roadblock, though? Like, first of all, this graphic is more than a little bit disingenuous. Like, look at this. As your representation of the Steam Deck, oh, not having a ton of games or whatever, you put Half-Life Alyx up there. A VR game. No shit that's not compatible with Steam Deck. No matter how you slice it, the Steam Deck has over 5,000 playable games, and that list is growing extremely quickly. So if it's a pure numbers game, the Steam Deck and Switch have a pretty comparable list of available games. The only difference is the Steam Deck has access to emulators and non-Steam games that aren't listed in that 5,000 count, and its count of available games is going to grow much quicker than Nintendo's simply because of the open nature of the PC as a gaming platform.
Many of us who have been on Steam since the early years have racked up an exceptionally large library of games. Unfortunately, not all of these games have been tested for the Steam Deck.
That doesn't mean they never will be.
Steam Deck Verified means the game is confirmed to run on the system. It does not guarantee flawless performance.
If a game on the Steam Deck is labeled playable, that doesn't mean it's a complete mess or anything like that. Your editor keeps showing TF2 as an example of this, but I recommend watching this video by Moisey89 if you want a better idea of what I mean, and also just a better idea of how the Steam Deck runs TF2 today. A game being labeled playable simply means it's not running to the standard that you'd expect. It doesn't mean it runs like garbage. In fact, I actually think this is a point against the Switch. Because if a game runs like garbage on a piece of Nintendo hardware, you won't even know until you buy it. You see the difference there? The Steam Deck is a much more powerful system, capable of much better performance. But Valve is still way more upfront about what games are running, less great than they could be. When's the last time Nintendo was even remotely honest about how Switch games run?
So, just because a game is verified does not mean you won't come across any problems later.
Like on the Switch?
Some games will even require users to manually adjust their settings and controls in order for the game to function properly.
You have to change your settings? Also, friendly reminder that Switch games barely even have game settings or control options. Like, at all. The thing you're complaining about is literally a feature the Switch doesn't have.
That said, even if you have a library loaded with hundreds of titles, you may only be able to properly run a fraction of them on your Steam Deck.
Okay, so what if I have a big library of Wii U or 3DS games? How many of those can I play on the Switch?
Some games are playable, but require some extra effort to interact with or configure.
God forbid we put effort into things.
On Switch, it's a much simpler process. Nintendo enforces a strict policy for games to load up on the Switch before allowing them to be published on the platform.
I mean, that's one way to say you have no control over things. Also, if that were true, why do some games run like pure ass on the Switch? One Google search will give you tons of Reddit and Reset-era threads of people upset at the Switch's performance in recent games. And you could respond to that and say, Joe, the Switch is a handheld, you shouldn't expect amazing performance. But then I would respond to you and say, if Nintendo doesn't want us to expect amazing performance, why do they keep acting like we should? If you insist on putting games like Doom Eternal and Wolfenstein 2 on your platform, I'm going to expect half-decent performance on less demanding games. Which is ironically not even what we're getting. What a fucking world we live in where Doom Eternal runs better on the Switch than some of Nintendo's first-party titles.
So, just about every single game you see on the shelf of retailers or the Nintendo eShop are guaranteed to run.
Yeah, they're guaranteed to run, but they're not guaranteed to run well, which is the whole point I've been making about the Steam Deck. At least Valve is upfront about which games have problems. Are we just excusing Hyrule Warriors running at a whopping 9 frames per second on the Switch? Are we excusing Smash Ultimate having a minimum of 12 frames of input lag on a perfect connection? Which also loops back to the absolute hilarity of you guys giving the Switch the point for online functionality a few minutes ago. This may come as a shock to you, but if you stopped sucking off Nintendo at every opportunity, maybe they would actually feel the need to get their shit together and stop spitting in your face.
Simplicity beats out guessing across every timeline. Winner, Nintendo Switch.
It's not simplicity, it's a lack of options and a shield from criticism. Stop defending this.
Round 5. Portability.
Here, let me get that for you.
This is perhaps the biggest draw of both consoles. Gaming on the go is a drive many folks crave, given the questionable quality of mobile games and the lack of support for now-dead handhelds like the Nintendo 3DS and PlayStation Vita.
For the love of God, fire your editor. You're talking about handheld gaming and they've been non-stop showing the thing docked. Almost 25 million subscribers and you can't afford an editor who actually listens to the commentaries that you shit into their Dropbox.
The Switch and Deck both make portability the most important aspect of their experience. No license verifications or DRMs are required in order to play games offline. So long as your game is installed, you're good to go.
It's actually kind of sad that you feel the need to mention that as a positive. Like, the fact that you have to point out you don't need internet to play your single-player games is just depressing.
Though in the Switch's case, you will need to make sure your account has the system listed as the primary console. Even so, that's not really a problem.
This dude just got his fucking head smashed in, and then he just sits back like, oh, that's so silly.
But this is where the Switch steals the show. Take a good long look at the Steam Deck. Now take a good long look at the Switch. What does Nintendo do that Steam Deck don't?
Charge $60 for Mario Kart 8?
Not just gaming on the go, but multiplayer on the go. Yes, we know Steam Deck does support multiplayer too. The problem is that you need to provide your own controller and a cable to connect to the Steam Deck. The Switch is far more convenient. If you're out and about with your Switch, you most likely have both Joy-Con controllers with you, and both Joy-Con controllers double as 2 separate controllers.
Wasn't this section about portability? Like, I fail to see how local multiplayer has anything to do with that. I thought you were going to bring up the larger size or the higher weight of the Steam Deck, but that's what I get for expecting any kind of logic from WatchMojo anymore.
So if you somehow bump into a friend, the two of you can sit down for a round or two of Smash or Mario Kart and play together right on the spot.
Ah yes, playing Smash with one Joy-Con. The ultimate gaming experience.
No additional setup required. Convenience for the sake of friends is what wins the Switch this round and the entire debate. For us, at least. Winner, Nintendo Switch.
So let's just recap here. You gave the Switch a point for online functionality because it has cartridges. You gave the Switch a point for games, even though the Steam Deck has more available and is more upfront about their performance. And then you gave the Switch a point for portability because of Joy-Cons. I am absolutely convinced this was an indirectly sponsored video. Like, maybe they didn't pay you to make this video, but I am 100% sure that you felt the need to present this kind of spin for the sake of some kind of relationship or perks you get from Nintendo. There is no chance a channel of this size can be this dishonest about such a simple topic. I'm not saying you have to prefer the Steam Deck, nor am I saying you have to give crazy elaborate reasoning for preferring the Switch as your go-to handheld. But when a giant channel like WatchMojo makes a video comparing the two platforms, people are going to use that as a reference for their buying decisions. So when they're so painfully biased and dishonest, I think it's fair for me to get kind of pissed off about it. Buy whatever you want, but make sure you do research before you drop hundreds of dollars on something. A lot of websites and YouTube channels and outlets in general are way more concerned with getting a goodie bag from Nintendo than they are with actually helping you find a product you like. WatchMojo, fucking be better than this. For the love of God. Toodles.